What looks easy peasy lemon squeezy, but is actually difficult lemon difficult?
Story 1. Finding a career you'll want to go to every day that won't crush your soul. Remember when you were young and teachers told you that you could be whatever you wanted to be? Yeah, not so realistic when you want to pay bills and maybe have a little beer money too. I didn't go to college and struggle with the thought of not being able to have a lateral career move without a degree. But then I see my friends absolutely floundering with their student loan payments and think maybe I don't have it so bad after all. All the feels for this. I only wish I hadn't bought into the college is the only way to go mentality. By 21, my life goal was to not be miserable, and everyone assumed I was depressed as all hell. But this is what I meant, is finding some sort of career where I didn't want to blow my head off just having to show up to work every day. One of the things I sincerely wish I had discovered earlier was that college doesn't guarantee that path. Took me 4 tries for a proper degree and another try at a tech school to discover that what makes me happy is farming. Like literally, I was gifted a dozen chickens and was like, oh, this. The simple life. Digging in the dirt and raising animals. And it's hard, and so far I still struggle with the beer money, but I'm happy, and I love my dang birds so much. Just wish I would have found this before I took out $10,000 in student loans, which I know is a small amount by comparison, but still hangs over my head. I went to college, grad school, got a PhD, and worked in a senior role at a highly coveted company. I still don't feel happy. The one thing I've learned after all these years is that happiness is not defined by title or company affiliation or number of letters after your name. My resume won't be on my tombstone. But in many ways, I'm stuck because the responsibilities I have now and all the people in my family and my profession I'm accountable to. I feel like I'll always be in the pursuit of happiness, rather than enjoying the moment I'm living in.
Story 2. Selling panties online. I've seen a couple posts about how someone could exploit desperate dudes on Craigslist by buying women's panties, spritzing them with perfume, and then selling them online. Where it's so easy. Nowadays, buyers want to see photos of a real woman in the exact pair they'll be buying, or proof in the form of being Panty Trust certified. They'll want extras or special requests for their order, plenty of fetishes to go around, and the vast majority of them will drop off the face of the earth when it comes time to actually pay. You'll have to sift through hundreds of responses to your ad, knowing most of them will be time wasters just trying to get a little dirty talk or some photos. My advice? Don't bother. Leave it to the cam girls who make some side cash off selling their panties, because there's always going to be someone willing to go a step further than you, and they will be the one to make the sale. Story 3. I use a wheelchair, and people usually don't believe me when I say that getting around can be difficult, because many of them think that pushing a wheelchair is easy. They literally tell me this. The thing is, when you use a wheelchair all day and it's basically your only means of transportation, it looks more natural. This becomes a problem when I point out accessibility problems. They often don't believe me because they see how I can navigate and assume that it's easy, just because I make it look easy. And your arms gotta be ripped by now. My arms went from flab to fab in the first 2 months I had to use my wheelchair. On the downside, my legs did the opposite. Doctors hate him for this one weird trick. Get absolutely shredded following this crash course. I suspect this concept also applies to new parents to a certain degree. People talk about dad bods or mom bods for the general figure, but also picking up a blob of dead weight flesh and bones a gazillion times a day, hauling all the car seats and strollers and whatnot, that's going to give a natural strength you wouldn't otherwise get just sitting around on your butt working in an office all day. Story 4. Maintaining friendships from high school or college after you graduate. People get so busy with work and starting their own families that friendships get put on the back burner. You stop talking to someone for a few months, then it suddenly hits you that you're no longer friends with the person. Reach back out though. Everyone understands, and I've rekindled and kept in touch intermittently with so many amazing people. Yes, we're not best friends who talk every day, but if stuff went down, I could give them a call, and vice versa. And when we do get together, it's a great time. My best friend from elementary school reached out after 20 years of going our own way. It's remarkable how much we both still have in common. Story 5. Dancing. I wouldn't say it looks easy, but when I see people do it, they're so good at it, and it flows so well, it looks easy. But dang, I just cannot get my body to do anything more than a bop, and maybe some stupid arm moves. I'm 25 and dance like a 50-year-old at a reunion. Dancers are so delicate and make it look so easy. It's honestly amazing. It's just hilarious when I try to do literally anything and fail horribly. All smoke and mirrors, friends. As a dance teacher, I can tell you confidently that it feels absolutely silly until you just start to sell it. 90% confidence, 10% squats. Having fun is step 1. Fake it till you make it.
And when all else fails, just stick your tongue out, point your thumbs over your shoulders, and do little kicks. That's a surefire way to get everyone else out on the dance floor with you.
Story 6. Folding fitted sheets. I've watched instructional videos that make it look so easy, but I always just end up with a crumpled up mess, and that's how it gets put away. The real trick is to only own one sheet, so as soon as it comes out of the wash, you immediately put it back on the bed and never need to even attempt folding it. I have a modified version of this, where I change the sheets, let the dirty ones sit on my floor for a week where my dog will sleep, then wash them, repeat. The most common type of ghost is the one in a white sheet with waving arms. These are the spirits of people who died while trying to fold a fitted sheet. Story 7. Writing a post or comment on the internet that gets recognition. Nah, it's like carpet bombing. Throw a lot out there, some of them hit. My comment history is a zillion one-point comments and the occasional 7,000 upvote hit. And frankly, it's a lot less about my own cleverness and more about being positioned in a popular thread. Look up my top comment of all time to see what I mean. It was a quick smart butt add-on to something else someone said, but it was in a great thread full of funny stuff. Well thought out comment that makes a meaningful contribution to the conversation, 2 points. Stupid comment that you took 2 seconds to write, 2,000 points and 3 awards. Story 8. Making lemonade. Sure, squeezing one lemon is easy peasy, but do you know how much juice that makes? Not a lot. Fill in the rest with sugar. It's the American way. Or just use country time lemonade. There's nothing close to a lemon in it. Those captcha things on Google. I can honestly never read them, and the website always thinks I'm a robot. Maybe you are a robot. I sweat when I have to select photos with street signs, and one overlaps just barely into another square. I consistently fail them. There are no wrong answers to these tests. You're actually helping Google to learn how to identify cars, signs, faces, whatever. You're part of Google's matrix, helping it learn. Story 9. Getting away with red rum. Actually, if you go to a large city and end someone's life you have no connection to, the odds are you will get away scot-free. For example, the homicide arrest rate in Baltimore and Chicago are about 20%. Meaning you have an 80% chance of not getting arrested. There are probably dozens of serial killers who have passed away, and we had no idea they were even doing their thing. It seems like the smarter ones get caught because they want to. Nationwide, the catch rate for red rums is only about 50-50. It's way easier if you end someone's life you are not close to. That's why when you want someone gone, you red rum swap. Story 10. Programming. It's like Lego sets. Anyone can follow the instructions and make the Millennium Falcon, but it's a whole different ballgame when you're given a pile of assorted blocks and someone says, "Okay, now, recreate the Taj Mahal." But the client wants it to look like Big Ben. It also needs to be able to interlock with the Sphinx, the Great Wall, the Eiffel Tower, and the Maozhong Temple to create a super monument. Yes, I know the Maozhong Temple hasn't been designed yet, just make some good guesses. We can add parts to it once we know what we need. Rainbow Road on Mario Kart. I still don't think I've ever come first. Ugh. Story 11. Actually doing things. In theory, it's simple. Just do the thing. In reality, I procrastinate until I hate myself. Self-discipline is the single hardest skill to master in this world that makes it so easy to just not. The 4 laundry baskets full of clean clothes sitting in my bedroom would agree with you. Wait, your laundry is clean? Mine still hasn't been washed, and I'm still cycling through the stuff I haven't worn since high school. My clothes are clean, but always in the dryer. My dryer is my closet. When you're too lazy to confess your sexuality, you come out of the dryer instead. Story 12. Digging. Anytime it's shown in movies or TV, it looks easy as frick, but the second you have to grab a shovel and break dirt, blah. Here, just let me dig up this 6-foot deep grave with a shovel. 20 minutes later, well, all done. The Walking Dead is so guilty of this. They would have been over burying their dead by season 2. In any setting with zombies, you should cremate the dead anyway. Agreed. One of my pet peeves in movies is where they dig a grave, especially in the woods, with a shovel. Story 13. Writing a 250-word open-ended reflection where you're expected to be creative. All I want as a grad student is some god-dang structure and also a rubric. As you progress through the levels of degrees, it is supposed to become more abstract. High school, you're basically just reciting the book. Highly structured, just follow directions. Bachelor's degree, reciting parts of the book and generating some original thoughts within a guideline. Master's degree, capable of independent thought, only referencing knowledge from the book and applying that knowledge in unstructured ways. PhD, you wrote the book. Story 14. A basic physical exam at the doctor. Looks like a simple look at the throat, listen to the chest. Yep, they have a heart all right. When in actuality, doctors spend thousands of hours practicing it so that when you come in with a murmur or funny-looking kid syndrome, they can recognize it immediately. And yes, there are entire class sections on how to respectfully ask your patient to turn their head and cough as you push on their balls. They're looking for hernias. Well, that's rather reassuring. Story 15. Being an adult. They never had to do homework, could stay up late, eat what they wanted, and had the money. I wish I was a naive kid again. Makes me wonder if parents should be a little more honest about their life. But I guess kids will either see it as one-upping or get stressed, so I don't know. I was very honest with my kids. One turned out to be very responsible. The other has tons of anxiety. Mixed results for sure. Story 16. Drawing something from memory, like a bird or something. In mind, yep, that's a bird. On paper, that's a bird. Draws squiggly lines far away in the horizon. Birds. Reminds me of the bicycle challenge. Go draw a bicycle from memory right now. Just take a pencil and paper or open paint at this very moment and draw with your mouse. Turns out everyone knows what a bicycle looks like, but almost nobody can draw it correctly without looking it up before. Story 17. Street names. Everyone thinks it's great fun and likes to offer suggestions, but every tree, lake, and other natural feature has at least a dozen variations, which you can't repeat for emergency service reasons. That, and you get cities which want a street name change anytime the road changes direction, regardless of a logical breakpoint like an intersection. I legit thought you meant street names like Lil T or Fingers. Yeah, you gotta watch out for Fingers. He does unspeakable things. Story 18. Golf. I feel like most people think they can just grip it and rip it, and don't take into account how hard it is to have a consistently good swing with solid contact. Golf is such a polarizing sport. I've played a few rounds and done terribly, but I have landed a par and birdie, and dang, is it one of the most exhilarating feelings ever. Story 19. Playing the triangle. A lot of my non-musician friends joke about how easy it is to play it. Then they actually hold the darn thing and look stupid. I can still remember my band director. You guys laugh about the triangle players, but you have no idea how hard it is to stay focused while counting 1, 3, 2 bars and not miss your cue. Story 20. Being in your 20s. As a clueless kid, I thought by now I'd have everything figured out and my life on track. I'm still clueless, but now I also have depression. In my 30s, still clueless. In my 50s, not completely clueless, but I sure wish my older generation were still around to bounce ideas off with. Story 21. This is painfully true for a lot of jobs. When nobody notices, it means you did an excellent job, but no one will give you credit because they aren't even aware there's credit due. But the moment you slightly mess up, you're the worst person in your profession. Story 22. Work. I'm a lawyer and had a client call saying she needs help with a merger, but don't worry, it's super easy peasy lemon squeezy. That project took 6 months, and I almost had a breakdown. She didn't understand why the bill was so high since it was so easy. Story 23. Natural makeup. More work than regular makeup. To be honest, this reminds me of a video I watched of a visual effects artist explaining his job. If no one notices your work on the footage, you've done your job well. It's only when you mess up do people notice. Story 24. Apparently figuring out what the opposite of easy peasy lemon squeezy would be. A roughy toughy lemon puffy. A hearty tarty lemon shardy. Loose deuce lemon juice. The correct answer is stressed depressed lemon zest. Thank you. Story 25. Losing weight. Changing habits is hard. People tend to mistake simple things for being easy. Well said, and very true with weight loss. It's simple, but dang, it ain't easy. Story 26. Hanging out with friends during that I'm not at school, but I'm still dependent on my family period, where you have spare time but have no way of getting anywhere. Story 27. Flying remote-controlled helicopters. It looks so effortless when watching seasoned flyers, but in reality, it's like balancing a marble on an upturned bowl. Story 28. Whistling with your fingers. I did it once like 6 years ago and haven't been able to replicate it since. Ticks me off. Story 29. Losing my virginity. That's me in the corner. That's me in the fleshlight. Oozing my emission. Story 30. Finding the person I always saw myself falling in love with. Story 31. Killing Enderman for Ender Pearls. Please leave your stories in the comments. I'd love to make a video of them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.